Ken Jarrett with AmCham Shanghai. We're in Washington, D.C. this week on our annual door knock, which is when we spend 3 days meeting with officials from the administration as well as members of Congress and prominent think tanks in Washington, D.C. And right now I'm with Scott Kennedy, who's the Deputy Chairman of the Freeman Chair at CSIS, one of Washington's most well-known think tanks. Scott, a question for you.
Sure.
One topic that has dominated our discussions this week has been the 301 investigation of China underway by USTR.
Sure.
Could you help our members understand what this is all about and what they might expect?
Sure. Well, the announcement for this investigation occurred, I believe, in early August, and came after the unsuccessful conclusion of the CED, the Comprehensive Economic Dialogue. And I think the administration said that they needed to launch this 301 investigation because of problems with intellectual property rights protection in China. The theft of IP, cyber, coerced technology transfer, those kinds of issues. And it's the first real broadside that the administration has taken against China on economics. The process by which this will occur is over the next few weeks. Interested parties, stakeholders, including folks from think tanks if they'd like, can submit testimony to the U.S. Trade Representative's office. They'll have a hearing on October 10th. They'll continue to collect viewpoints until October 20th, at which point they will then digest that and come up with some initial conclusions which they will present to the president, and that may inform his trip to China in November. But this is a year-long process potentially. Down the road, if the U.S. and China can't negotiate a resolution to this question, then according to the statute, the U.S. could launch a WTO case and or take some unilateral steps. What those steps might be, nobody knows. And people also don't know precisely what the administration wants China to do to have the case be resolved. So I think we're in somewhat uncharted territory with this case, and we're just going to have to see how it plays out.
The president is expected to come
Yes.
to China in November, probably before the APEC meeting in Vietnam. How do you think that visit will play into the 301 investigation, or what generally should we expect from the visit in terms of outcomes?
Sure. I think probably what we're going to see is a glass half empty type of trip in which the U.S. and China negotiate some type of limited partnerships, American exports, successful investment deal announcements, maybe some modest openings in certain sectors in China. But I think the general attitude of the president will be one of dissatisfaction, of unfulfilled commitments and promises by the Chinese that probably can't be satisfied in the context of the trip. So I think it'll be a mixed bag, and the Chinese will be able to spin it in a more positive direction, the White House in a more negative one. Now that's assuming that sort of natural strategy and trends follow their course. That's not necessarily something that we should expect with this administration. Things could change precipitously if something happens related to North Korea, or depending on the outcome of the 19th Party Congress. We think we know essentially how that's going to go, but it may differently. So, so that's what I would expect, but you can't, of course, be sure.
Sure. Good. Well, thanks very much, Scott. That's Scott Kennedy from CSIS with me in Washington, D.C. As part of the AmCham Shanghai door knock visit.